Expecting the unexpected is just a day in the life for Semester at Sea, and you will love hearing from President and CEO Scott Marshall how he and his team developed the mindset to be prepared for the curveballs that come their way as they sail the oceans, which you will discover can help you too on this episode of Making Our World Better.
Welcome to the Making Our World Better podcast, where you will find motivation and encouragement through lively conversations with inspirational people who every day are making our world a better place. Now, here's your host, Jay Clark.
Welcome to the podcast. I am Jay Clark, and what a thrill to have a conversation with Dr. Scott Marshall, CEO of the Institute for Shipboard Education, a 61-year-old nonprofit that directs the legendary program Semester at Sea, the world's leading comparative study abroad program. Prior to joining Semester at Sea, Dr. Marshall was a professor of management, vice provost, and interim dean in the College of Business at Portland State University. Scott's lifelong commitment to global education and travel was born out of a study abroad program in Japan as an undergraduate. Scott, his wife, and their two children sailed on the spring 2017 voyage of Semester at Sea, after which he joined the organization as Vice President of Academic Affairs. He has served as president since January of 2020, and as a business professor, Dr. Marshall taught, researched, wrote, and published over 40 articles, book chapters, and case studies on management, marketing, entrepreneurship, and international studies. He earned his BA in Business Economics at Willamette University, his Master's in International Affairs from George Washington University, and his doctorate in International Business from the University of Oregon. Can't wait to get into all of this. Dr. Marshall, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for that introduction. I have to just say, no one calls me doctor, so you're throwing me off here.
Well, I would love to just kind of start simple and for you to tell me and describe the mission of Semester at Sea.
So as you mentioned in that intro, the program's been around for over 60 years. In essence, the core design principles have remained true that entire time. International, comparative, experiential, taking young adults around the world, creating community on a ship, and taking that community into multiple countries to really fundamentally change how they see the world. And that was true in 1963. It's true in 2025. The mission we've clarified over those years, and it's 10 words. In my mind, they're quite powerful words. It's create journeys of discovery that spark bold solutions to global challenges.
Love it.
Yeah. And really that inspires us every day to think about how do we continue to drive what we deliver to our constituents that allows them to understand the world more deeply, understand the commonality that exists, the interconnections that exist, and then be able to think about how they could play a part in their life, solving challenges that they care deeply about.
I love it. My daughter had a friend who did it and has gone on to have a hugely successful career in the hospitality industry. And I think that was her baseline. This great world experience just gives her this ability to connect with guests on a completely different level. But I'd love to take a step back and talk about your journey a little bit to becoming CEO and how your own study abroad experience kind of imprinted on you.
Well, let's maybe start by saying it's love to make plans, but then, plans change and life evolves, right?
Indeed.
So if you go back 8-9 years prior, I would have never dreamed that this is where I'd be, what I'd be doing. And I wouldn't want to be doing anything else than what I'm doing today. So awesome. You never know what's going to come about. In the bio that you mentioned was a study abroad program, undergraduate, where growing up in a very small town in rural Oregon, I suddenly was in a very different country, culture, society with different norms and values. And it shocked my brain. It challenged my mindset. And over time, I realized that this is just something that I have to do more of. I have to understand it better. And if I could, I would like to be able to bridge differences, help people understand commonalities, explore the world, and contribute to making it better in some way. And so it's been one of those paths, but at the core, that's remained what I want to do.
Awesome.
And going into that PhD program, my dissertation was on cross-cultural trust building. And it just over and over and over, we found that common theme in my work and my life, and good fortune has led me here to where now I get to be part of this very small nonprofit, 46 employees who run a ridiculously complicated program.
No kidding.
A really important mission.
I love it. And you have this distinguished background in teaching, business management, and marketing. And one of my favorite sayings is that if you're a business, if you can go out of business, then guess what? You're a business. So how has this extensive business background really helped you in running Semester at Sea as a nonprofit?
Yes, I love how you said that. You're so spot on. And the more people who really get what Jay is saying, the better. That is, yes, we're a nonprofit, registered 501c3, but we have to operate like a business. We have to think about our market. We have to segment that market. We have to tailor our communications to that market. We have to manage our overhead. We have to drive revenue. And most important, we have to create a work environment where people can thrive and be productive and hopefully be retained as long as possible. And so, yeah, I taught business. I consulted in business. I understand. I never could be or want to be an accountant, but I love accountants. I can read cash flow statements.
Got to know your numbers.
Yeah, you got to know your numbers, but I want great people as a CFO and a controller and our senior accountants. And so they can give me the information that I need. I work with a marketing team. I am not a marketing expert, but I understand segmentation. I understand communication strategies, so I can talk to them about it, understand it. So yeah, you've got to have that foundation in business to run a nonprofit.
And 501c3 is just tax code. It doesn't mean you're not a business. And money equals mission. Mission is vitally important, but money equals mission, especially in a nonprofit. And so what have been, luckily, Semester at Sea has got a magnificent brand. I mean, like I say, legendary nonprofit, 60 years of history, which helps, but it still doesn't mean that you haven't had to encounter some challenges in running this business. So, I'd love for you to talk about some of the bigger challenges you faced. Obviously, the COVID pandemic has to be a ginormous one. But, I'd love for you to talk about some of these challenges that you faced from a business standpoint of running this nonprofit, and, maybe some of the effective tactics you used in confronting those challenges.
Yeah. Well, let's throw some numbers out first to get to what our business model is. We run 2 voyages a year. So fall semester, spring semester. We don't operate in the summer. So we sell twice a year.
Got it.
They're long sales cycles, and then we get everybody on board, and we are then selling for the next one and selling for the next one. We can max out at 600 paying passengers on a ship.
Wow.
Our break even is 1,050 paying passengers per year. Our overhead is almost all fixed. The ship alone is 73% of our fixed cost.
Wow.
Is our overhead. And then, of course, we have
Makes
a running
sense.
staff. It's another 22%. So you're about 95% fixed cost as an organization.
Yeah.
Which gives you very little wiggle room, right? We're
Right.
90% revenue driven, 10% philanthropy driven. So revenue base is primarily driven by the paying passengers we got on board. So again, you got to think about the business model.
Yep.
And then to your point, the pandemic was enormously difficult for us. I, every once in a while, go back to the presentation I made to the board on January 2nd, 2020, as I came in as a new CEO.
Right. Welcome to the job. Oh,
By March 14th, everything I'd said was
out
irrelevant
the window, right?
because we had to end the voyage that was underway in Cape Town, South Africa, get everybody home. Like most people, we put a sign on our door and says, once this passes in a month, we'll be back in our office.
Right.
Lo and behold, of course, we have to cancel the fall 2020 voyage, the spring 2021 voyage, and the fall 2021 voyage. 90% revenue driven. Here we are, not making
There you
revenue.
go. 90% of your business is now choked.
Yeah. And we got through it for what I simplify down to 4 reasons. Number one, we had savings, right? We had money in the bank.
Yeah.
2, we had the good fortune to get 2 of the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program loans that became grants.
Right.
Number 3, we had some of our large donors turn their restricted money into operating money. And
huge.
4th, as you can imagine, I had to make some very hard decisions around overhead.
Yep.
And so we found our path. It was extraordinarily difficult, but we found our path through. We got back running in spring of 22. It was an extraordinarily difficult voyage because, gosh, the pandemic was still kind of out there.
Yeah.
Omicron, very strong, and but we found our footing, and now we're back. It's just that the U.S. study abroad market, which is our main market, is still lagging pre-pandemic levels, and we are very much tied to that dynamic. And so we keep pushing forward, making budget, but it's a slog. It's hard work.
And, I think one of the greatest lessons that you showed that you guys learned there is you have to be nimble. I mean, no matter how big or small your organization is, you're going to have to be nimble. And, I think regardless of what sector somebody's operating in, there's always things that you can't control. And, I can't imagine dealing with all the moving parts that you guys deal with. So, I'd love for you to talk about how leaders can really be prepared to expect the unexpected.
Yeah. Well, you're leading right into, of course, the podcast I run focused on our alumni.
Right.
Yes. It's called As Unexpected. And I truly believe that leadership is founded on this principle of not how we show up when things go as planned, but how we show up when things go as unplanned or as unexpected. We have to understand that it's how we show up for ourselves and others that determines whether we get through those difficult periods of time.
Yep.
So again, show up for ourselves. How am I showing up for myself? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I eating right? Am I getting exercise? Am I taking time away from email, Slack messages, all of the video calls so that I am taking care of myself? And then I can show up for others in the right way and be present, listen well, be compassionate about what circumstances they're living in, and really try to make sure we're continually lifting up the organization. And so, yeah, that's the principle. And it goes really from what Semester C deals with. We run a complex program, and diversions amidst a voyage are relatively common because, weather patterns or civil strife or some kind of natural disaster or something happens and you have to miss a port or come late into a port, and really instilling in our young voyagers, young adults, listen, this is life.
Yeah, right.
Life is full of us. So
no doubt.
Right? How are you going to show up?
So that has to be one of the more valuable lessons that the voyagers learn through their 3 or 4 month voyage, right?
Yeah. We say flexibility is our F word.
I love that. Well, and it's a lot of that it's all great, But some of it's easier said than done, right? I mean, like unplugging from email and making sure you get enough sleep. That's all. It's like, yeah, I definitely want to do that, but I can't. What would you tell somebody? This is how you can do it.
So I have to give someone else credit. I don't know. Years ago, maybe I was listening to a podcast, I think, and someone differentiated between routine and practice. For me, that was such a powerful, simplified version of what makes sense. People say, oh, you got to get in a routine. Problem is, in life, routines easily get broken.
Yep.
Instead, work on a practice. And the practice is, I am going to go to the gym at a certain time. I'm going to go for a walk at a certain time. I'm going to put away my phone at a certain time. Every day, this is going to happen. I don't know how or when because it is unpredictable, but it's going to be
Right.
my practice, and I'm committed to that practice. A routine suggests, at 5 a.m., I get up and I go to the gym, and that's my routine. And then suddenly life happens, and that routine's broken, and you got to restart that routine. If something happens and I'm not able to get to the gym in the morning, which I prefer to do, then when can I fit in a walk? When can I fit in a simple stretching exercise so that I am in practice of self-care in some way?
I love it.
Yeah, you're right. It's not easy, but we have to commit to a practice of some sort. And we can only take care of others. We can only take care of the organization if we're taking care of ourselves.
That's such great advice. I want everybody to hit the backwards button for 45 seconds. Listen to that again. That's fantastic. But, what would you tell? I think a common thing in nonprofit leadership that I've experienced, I'm sure you have as well, is kind of this concept of burnout. So what advice or counsel would you give to a nonprofit leader who's just feeling overwhelmed or burned out? And I think a lot of it is kind of this self-care and resilience that you're talking about.
Yeah. There's so many things or so many directions I could take that. And first of all, is to realize the world is messy. It always has been messy. It'll continue to be messy.
Right.
And, there's a simple principle that, again, someone gave to me many decades ago, actually. It's the 10-20-70 rule. 10% we control, 20% we can influence, and 7% we have no control or influence over. Now, you can pick your numbers.
Right.
If you want
But
5.
those are the three kind of circles that we deal with. You're right.
But the core idea is the vast majority of what happens in the world, we have no control or influence over. So figure out, first of all, what you can control. That control is over you. We can't control anybody else.
For sure.
So the control is that. So 10% is how am I managing myself? And then that 20% is can I be influential?
Mm-hmm.
Can I be influential to my board? Can I be influential to my senior leaders? Can I be influential to my staff and the alumni? And that, people might take a negative spin on influence, but of course, you're mission driven. You're about sustaining the enterprise. So this is about positive influence.
Right.
How am I showing up for myself so that I can positively influence others to fulfill our mission? There's so many ways to frame this. Everybody talks about mindfulness or meditation, which great practices for the right person.
Right.
I would be remiss if I could give you some kind of, you should definitely be a meditator. Well, for some people, yes.
Right.
I'm not. That's not for me. Mindfulness practice, maybe. I like to stretch, I like to exercise, and there is a mindfulness in that.
Yep.
But you got to understand you can only control yourself. So that self-care is essential. And then the other side is you got to watch the environment. You got to be aware of it. But you're not going to control it.
Right.
You got to let go of that. Otherwise, you will be sleepless.
That is magnificent advice. So, kind of along those same lines, as a leader, what have you found has been effective to help you kind of steward a culture and develop? It's one of my favorite words. It's an old George Carl term, teamness, where you as the leader, you have to steward the culture, and that's a lot of this mindfulness and self-care that we're talking about. But what's been effective for you in doing that?
Well, there's a couple ways to answer that question. Our organization is structured like pretty much every organization. You have a senior leadership team or executive team, and they have direct reports, and some of those direct reports have their teams. And to your point, teams are how work gets done.
Mm-hmm.
You have to care about the individual. You have to have compassion for who they are. And at the same time, you understand that teams are what it gets done. You have a basketball behind you. You work for the Denver Nuggets. You understand that it's the team.
Mm-hmm.
You hire individual talent, and then you create great teams. So what does that mean? Well, for me and my executive team, I set a foundation of what I call non-negotiables, which I have 3. And the second one has a bad word on it, but I'll try to change how I say it for your audience. The first one is trust in team is the number one priority. Trust in team is number one priority. Non-negotiable. Number 2 is no a-holes.
I love it.
Like, no way, you can't be that. You can't. You can debate, you can argue, you can disagree, but you can't be mean. And the third one is treasure everybody's every day.
I love that.
So if you start with trust, that's hard work. And it's a big commitment. And you have to understand what trust is. You have to understand your colleagues' interactions with each other. You have to be willing to intervene. You have to be willing to empower. Like, what does trust mean? And it's easy word to say. It is work to execute on.
Especially today, where kind of the default is to not trust.
Yeah, to be divisive.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's number 1. Second one, no a-holes. So this is, again, fairly simple. Don't be mean. But that's really to ensure people are heard, people are understood, and allowed to speak their voice in a way that people will hear them. Because as you know, we know, if you're mean, people don't hear.
Right. And they don't feel safe.
They don't feel safe. Exactly.
To speak. Right.
Yeah. And the third one, treasure everybody's every day. This really goes to that core idea of compassion. So there's the idea of empathy and sympathy, and I kind of go to the word compassion. Really, it's, taken from the Dalai Lama and some of the Buddhist thinking that really you've got to start with the other. Empathy and sympathy, in terms of the definitions, oftentimes start with me and how I feel, kind of place myself in your shoes.
Right.
Rather, what if you started with the other? Say, you know what? Jay is a good person, and just like everybody on earth, he has his challenges. He's a human, so he's got his challenges, his constraints. Probably in his life, he's seen tragedy. So how do I show up and understand Jay so that I can really understand him? And what if you did that for each of your team members? So everybody's every day is really founded on that principle. And if those 3 non-negotiables are invested in, then I will create a healthy team. But you got to do it every day. You got to think about it.
Yeah, it's not something that you do once every 6 months. It's every day. I love that. I wrote those three down. I'll be ripping that off. Thanks very much.
All yours. There's no IP on that.
Well, I'd love it if, and this will be a hard one, but I'd love it if you could share one of your favorite semester at sea success stories.
I would love to share that. There's obviously
A million of them.
share, but I'm going to tell you something that went not well, but then how we dealt with it to fulfill our mission even more. So if we go back to spring 24, as you and everybody's aware, there was a lot of conflict on U.S. campuses.
Yep.
Israel-Gaza, the Israel-Palestine conflict had really flamed up. The campuses were on, not necessarily on fire, but there was a lot of conflict.
Right. Unrest. Right.
And we had that on our ship as well during
Oh, wow. Confined space.
that confined space. And for particularly a subset of voyagers, it was quite difficult. And in some cases, we didn't deal with it well enough. We had a lot of learning to do, just like the campuses around the country. We were trying to resolve this, trying to lift everybody up. And so what did we do? Well, there's a long, rich history here on how we tried to deal with that. But in response, we partnered with a organization called SOLIA, SOLIYA, SOLIYA, that has been doing constructive dialogue facilitation training for many, many years. And so we partnered with them so that we could get a cohort of voyagers trained in their constructive dialogue facilitation onto our fall 2024 voyage, and have them be facilitators of dialogue.
Love it.
And I can tell you, it, first of all, is true to our mission. And second of all, has made a really profound, important, positive impact on our voyage communities. Constructive dialogue, just so you and your audience knows, is not about finding agreement or changing minds. It's about understanding. Now imagine, Jay, if in this world, more people were equipped with constructive dialogue facilitation skills.
Change the world.
Change the world. Yeah.
I mean, that's so lacking in today's.
Yeah.
You just can't have constructive dialogue. Period. It feels almost impossible sometimes.
So while we struggled in that spring 2024 voyage community, we responded quickly. I think we responded appropriately. We've seen the positive impact. We're going to continue working with Celia. We're going to continue to seek philanthropic contributions to that effort. We'd love to increase the cohort size. It's an amazing program, and I give my team real credit for just finding ways to continue to drive this effort in our communities.
Good on you guys, because that's going to trickle through your entire organization and impact your business in all sorts of positive ways. But what keeps you excited about the future and energized as the president and CEO of Semester at Sea?
Well, in simple terms, I just love what we do. You know someone who's gone on a voyage. I can tell you that not everybody, 90% of the people who go on that voyage, their lives are profoundly changed.
Yeah.
And although they love their alma mater, this is almost always the most important semester in their college career. And
most impactful, probably by far.
And in many ways, the most memorable 3.5 months of their life. It's just profound impact. So I just get excited that that's what we do.
That's great.
So for the future, there's a number of things that we just continue to try to do. Number one is elevate the brand. For those who know the brand, they understand the impact of it. They understand the importance of the work. So we've got to continue to elevate that so it's recognizable for the power of what we accomplish. Number two, we have to continue to find ways to deliver cohort-based distinctions for our student voyagers. What I mean by cohort is if we got, say, 500 students from over 200 institutions on a voyage, how can we take 20 or 30 students as a cohort and have them really exercise some kind of distinction? The CELIA program is a case in point. They are able to earn a UN-backed certificate in constructive dialogue, those 20 individuals. We also have an engineering cohort where students are able to take engineering courses on the vessel and come away with, gosh, not only am I getting my engineering degree, but I was able to take this semester and study in a comparative international environment.
Right.
We continue to structure these cohorts so that students, meet where there's this common interest, common passion around a topic or a discipline, and then can leave with not only finishing their degree program, but also this additional mark of distinction for their employability.
And then become humongous brand ambassadors.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Love that. It's fantastic. Well, this has all been so great. I'll try to respect your time here. And on final approach, I'll hit you with my Fab Four. First one being, what is something that you will read, listen to, or watch today?
Yeah, I love to listen because it's just relaxing to me, This American Life. And so it's the one I pull up.
I love it.
And listen to that and the stories. So that's almost a daily ritual. Not every day, but I know when I'm going to pull that up on my short commute home. I bike home. I got 20 minutes, so I'll put that on. So This American Life is definitely just one of my faves to remove me from my work and provide a transition.
That's awesome. Is there somebody that you can point to who's been a role model for you in your academic career or in the work or at any point the work you're doing now?
Well, I have to say that my role model in my life is my mom.
Awesome.
Simply by how she shows up for others. She's 84 years old. And just continues to be a role model. And I'll give you a simple illustration. She lives in a relatively small community. That community's political leanings are different than hers. She will put up her signage that conveys her political belief. And she loves that community. That community takes care of her. She takes care of them. So this whole world of divisiveness and side taking, she is not of that ilk.
Wow.
She has her values, she has her beliefs, but fundamentally she's about connecting to people and community all the way through her life. And at age 84, she continues to show that and role model it for others.
She should be on the board for CELIA.
Exactly.
I love it. Is there another organization out there? You mentioned CELIA, but is there another organization out there that you really admire the work that they're doing or would like to give a shout out to?
The Coral Reef Alliance. We're ocean-based. I love the ocean. We need to take care of the ocean. Reefs are a pretty clear indicator of the health of that ocean. And the Coral Reef Alliance is doing amazing work around the world, protecting reefs, reef ecosystems, trying to restore denigrated reef ecosystems. And so I have great respect for the work they do.
No doubt. Lastly, most importantly, if somebody wants to learn more about Semester at Sea, follow you, learn more about your background, what's the best way to find you or follow you or get in touch?
So let me start with semesteratsea.org. Really easy, semesteratsea.org. You can learn all about the program. Whether you TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or just want to go to the web, that's how you find us, right? YouTube. Find me. I am a real social media dork in that I'm not good at it. So find me on LinkedIn. There's a fair number of Scott Marshalls in the world, so you probably have to do Scott Marshall, Semester at Sea. to find me on LinkedIn, but I am a regular user of LinkedIn. And then if you're interested in learning about what our alumni have accomplished in their lives and want to understand more about how leaders show up when dealing with the unexpected, I do have a podcast called As Unexpected.
Fabulous. We will put all that in the show notes. Scott, I can't wait to go back and listen to this again and take more notes. But grateful for your time. Be rooting you on and keep up the great work.
Jay, thanks so much.
Thanks for listening, and thanks to Scott for sharing so many great lessons. This podcast is brought to you by JC Charity Services. Positivity is the competitive advantage, and as a John Gordon certified Power of Positive trainer, I'd love to be your competitive advantage and elevate your team's mindset, leadership, and culture. You can find me at makingourworldbetter.com. To learn more about Scott and Semester at Sea, visit semesteratsea.com and follow Scott on LinkedIn. Check the show notes for links, and if you enjoyed this podcast, we'd be grateful if you'd share it with a friend. Until next time, I hope you're inspired to find a way to make our world better.